Hermes and Mercury, the god of trade and trickery. Welcome back. I'm Adeline Atlas, 11 times published author, and this is the Gods of Money series. Among the Greek gods, few are as versatile, restless, and cunning as Hermes. He is the messenger of the gods, the guide of souls to the underworld, the protector of travelers, and, most relevant to wealth, the patron of merchants, trade, and commerce. But Hermes also carried a shadow. He was the god of thieves, tricksters, and deception. In Rome, under the name Mercury, his role only expanded. He became associated with speed, profit, and the mercantile spirit that drove Rome's empire. Together, Hermes and Mercury stand as archetypes of money itself. Quick, clever, sometimes honest, sometimes dishonest, always moving. Hermes was born in myth with speed and trickery already in his blood. According to the Homeric hymn to Hermes, he was born of Zeus and the nymph Maia. On the very day of his birth, still swaddled in his cradle, Hermes slipped away and stole the cattle of his half-brother Apollo. To cover his tracks, he drove the herd backwards, making the footprints face the wrong direction, and even invented sandals to disguise his steps. Later, when confronted, he denied the theft with wide-eyed innocence, charming the gods with his wit. Rather than punish him, Zeus and Apollo laughed. Apollo even rewarded him, exchanging the stolen cattle for Hermes's newly invented lyre, an instrument crafted from a tortoise shell. This myth set the tone for Hermes's character: quick-witted, inventive, audacious, and blessed with a gift for turning theft into profit. From the beginning, Hermes embodied the double edge of commerce. Trade can be honest exchange, but it can also be cunning manipulation. Merchants can enrich societies, but they can also exploit. Hermes patronized both sides of the equation. He was the god of commerce and of thieves, and the Greeks understood that the line between them is often thin. Hermes' symbols reveal his mercantile identity. He carried the caduceus, a staff entwined with two snakes, which later became an emblem of trade and negotiation. He wore winged sandals and a winged cap, signs of his speed. Statues of Hermes, known as Hermes, were placed along roads, at crossroads, and in marketplaces to guard travelers and merchants. His presence marked the flow of exchange: goods moving along roads, ships sailing with cargo, deals struck in the agora. Without Hermes, commerce stalled. With him, it thrived. In Athens, Hermes' cult was particularly tied to the agora, the bustling marketplace that was the economic and political heart of the city. Inscriptions and dedications to Hermes by merchants and traders show how vital he was to daily economic life. To honor Hermes was to acknowledge that trade depended not only on skill or hard work, but on chance, persuasion, and cunning, qualities Hermes embodied. But Hermes was not only about material exchange. He was also the god of language and communication, which the Greeks saw as inseparable from commerce. Trade requires speech, negotiation, persuasion, contracts, promises. Hermes presided over this domain. He was the master of rhetoric, the one who could twist words as easily as he twisted footprints in Apollo's pasture. In this sense, Hermes personified the power of language to create value. A merchant's fortune depended on his ability to speak well, to bargain, to persuade. Hermes stood behind every transaction, not only as protector, but as inspiration. In Rome, Hermes became Mercury, and his mercantile qualities grew even stronger. The very name Mercury is tied to the Latin merx, merchandise, mercari, to trade, and merces, wages. Mercury was the Roman spirit of profit and exchange. His cult was popular among traders, shopkeepers, and bankers. Temples to Mercury stood near marketplaces, including the Circus Maximus in Rome, where commerce and entertainment intersected. Festivals such as the Mercurialia were celebrated by merchants, who sprinkled water from Mercury's sacred well on their ships and goods, praying for successful trade. Mercury inherited Hermes' trickster qualities as well. Romans recognized him as god not only of honest merchants, but also of cheats, swindlers, and gamblers. This duality was not a flaw, but a recognition of reality. Commerce involves risk, persuasion, and sometimes deception. Mercury was honored not because he guaranteed fairness, but because he embodied the energy of exchange itself in all its forms. The connection between Mercury and money became so strong that his image appeared on Roman coins. His winged cap and caduceus marked currency as tools of movement and trade. His very name gave rise to words like mercantile and merchant. Even the chemical element mercury, quicksilver, was named for him because of its fluidity and speed, qualities that matched money's movement through society. Hermes Mercury's role as patron of thieves adds another layer. In myth, he protected not only noble travelers and merchants, but also rogues and tricksters. This might seem contradictory, but to the ancients it was consistent. Theft, like trade, requires skill, cunning, and risk. Both involve taking something from another. Both reshape the balance of wealth. Hermes did not moralize. He oversaw the act of transfer, whether through fair exchange or clever trick. In this way, he represented money's moral ambiguity. Wealth can be gained honorably or dishonorably, but either way, it moves. Philosophers and writers often reflected on Hermes' ambiguous nature. Plato, in the Cratylus, linked Hermes' name to words and speech, highlighting his role as interpreter and communicator. Later thinkers associated him with boundaries and transitions, between gods and mortals, between life and death, between honesty and deception. Hermes was always in motion, crossing thresholds, guiding exchanges. That is why he became Psychopompos, the guide of souls to the underworld. Just as he guided goods across borders, he guided souls across the boundary of life and death. The Romans carried this mercantile spirit further. As their empire expanded, Mercury became not just a local god of traders, but a symbol of Rome's economic dominance. Trade routes stretched across the Mediterranean, bringing grain from Egypt, wine from Gaul, silver from Spain, and spices from the East. Mercury's blessing was sought for all of it. His temples stood at crossroads of commerce. His festivals tied together merchants from every corner of the empire. Over time, Hermes Mercury also took on philosophical and mystical dimensions. In the Hellenistic era, Hermes was identified with the Egyptian god Thoth, leading to the composite figure Hermes Trismegistus, revered as a sage of wisdom, alchemy, and esoteric knowledge. While this Hermetic tradition was more about philosophy and magic than commerce, it still tied Hermes to the idea of hidden knowledge and transformation, qualities that mirror the transformations of wealth in trade and economy. The Hermetic texts influenced medieval and Renaissance thought, linking Hermes not only to trade, but to the very mysteries of creation and transformation. Yet despite these mystical layers, Hermes Mercury always retained his mercantile core. He was the god of markets, of speech, of contracts, of exchange, and also of the trickery and theft that accompany them. This duality made him uniquely suited to embody money, which itself is never neutral. Currency enables cooperation, but also exploitation. Trade brings prosperity, but also inequality. Contracts enforce fairness, but also conceal deception. Hermes stood at the center of this paradox, smiling with his winged cap, ready to guide merchants, gamblers, and thieves alike. The endurance of Hermes and Mercury in cultural memory is remarkable. The word mercurial still describes someone quick, changeable, clever, traits of the god himself. The image of the caduceus, though often confused with the staff of Asclepius, remains a symbol of commerce and negotiation. Mercury's name lives on in the planet, the element, and in words tied to trade. And Hermes continues to fascinate as the archetype of the trickster, the guide, the god of boundaries crossed and deals struck. For the ancients, Hermes and Mercury explained why trade was both admired and distrusted. Merchants could bring exotic goods, wealth, and prosperity, but they could also cheat, swindle, and manipulate. Money itself seemed to carry this double edge. It moved quickly, it changed hands easily, it created bonds and broke them. In Hermes and Mercury, the Greeks and Romans found a divine face for this restless, ambiguous power. To learn about Hermes and Mercury is to learn how the ancient world understood commerce not as a stable foundation, but as a living, shifting force. They saw money as clever, slippery, unpredictable, much like the gods who ruled it. Hermes stole Apollo's cattle and charmed his way out of punishment. Mercury blessed merchants and cheats alike. Both taught that wealth is never simple. It is always a dance of skill, luck, and persuasion. And so, when the Greeks built their marketplaces and the Romans expanded their trade routes, they placed Hermes and Mercury at the center. They were the gods who stood at every crossroad, every negotiation, every boundary crossed with goods or gold. They were the ones who reminded mortals that commerce is not only about numbers, but about speech, trust, and trickery. Above all, they showed that money, like them, is always in motion. Welcome back. I'm Adeline Atlas, 11 times published author, and this is the Manifestation series, where we don't just talk about manifesting, we master it. Because let's be honest, manifestation has been watered down, reduced to vague quotes, mood boards, and empty promises. But you didn't come here to wish. You came here to build a reality that hits different. A reality that responds to your frequency, your language, your alignment, and your decision to stop playing small. This series is not fluff. It's physics, frequency, and fierce creative power. Inside the Manifestation series, you're going to learn how to collapse timelines, shift identities, and speak worlds into existence, just like the greatest minds in history. This isn't just about being positive. This is about being powerful. Here's what you unlock inside. Vision to reality, the vision board course. You've heard about vision boards, but you've never done them like this. This is a full energetic ritual, a precision-coded map for your subconscious, designed to bridge image, frequency, and strategy. It's not arts and crafts. It's blueprinting your future in visual form and turning it into matter. Time, quantum timelines, and why time isn't real. Manifestation doesn't take time. It takes alignment. In this module, I'll show you how time is just a mirror of energy and how to collapse timelines using choice, clarity, and vibration. Past, present, future, they're happening now. And when you know how to navigate time quantum style, you stop waiting and start receiving. Quantum jumping, instantly up level. Your next level life isn't years away. It's one decision away. In this training, you'll learn how to quantum jump, how to shift into a version of you that already has what you desire. This isn't fantasy. It's how high-performance creators, athletes, and spiritual masters leap beyond limits. Jump now. Land in power. Every word. The power of affirmations and spoken language. Words build worlds. In this course, I show you how to use affirmations like spell work, not just repeating empty mantras, but speaking with vibration, intention, and spiritual force. If you've ever felt like affirmations don't work, this will change everything. You'll learn to command your field, not just request from it. The greats, learning from the most exceptional minds in history. We're not the first to master this. In this legendary module, we decode the techniques, habits, and quantum genius of the world's most powerful manifestors, from ancient sages to modern icons. You'll learn how to think like the greats, move like the greats, and manifest like the greats. This isn't another feel-good series. This is a spiritual weapon, disguised as a manifestation course. It's made for leaders, cycle breakers, visionaries, and soul builders. You don't need another wish list. You need a system that teaches you how to bend reality. This is that system. So if you're ready to stop playing with potential and start creating results, welcome to your next level. The manifestation series is open now. You know what to do. Let's build what they said was impossible and make it inevitable.